So we would like to move on to our panel discussion 2. So our panelists and the moderator, please come up onto the stage. So now I would like to hand over the proceedings to Mr. Ogawa, our moderator, if you please.
Okay, thank you very much. So following the exciting first panel discussion, so it's time to start the second panel discussion from now. So first panel discuss the Pathfinder initiative and the BCM itself. So we'd like to address Japan carbon market from now. So I'm Shigeru Ogawa from BloombergNEF to cover Japan's energy transition, including carbon market. And I will moderate this session with impressive lineups here. So before starting the panel, so let me introduce the brief background of Japan's situations. So now, in order to move forward to achieve net zero in 2050, Japan government proposed the concept of the green transformation strategy called the GX strategies in 2023. This is a kind of the Japanese energy transition roadmap. The aim of this GX is to promote smooth structural change to decarbonize the economy from current fossil fuel-based economies. Under this initiative, carbon pricing, as well as other approaches like transition finance and international corporations, becomes one of the main pillars for energy transitions. That's why now Japan government is conducting the new emission trading scheme in Japan. The carbon market is very spotlighted in Japanese market right now. That's why so many Japanese companies establish carbon-related department or teams inside the company, and many startup companies with related to carbon credit will appear in last 2 or 3 years. So let's start the panel. So this session includes 3 parts. So first one is the presentation for panelists and the open discussions, and after that, if we have time, so we would like to Q&A session from the floor. So before moving to presentation, let me introduce quickly for the panelists. So first panelist is Professor Arimura, so next to sitting me. He's a professor of the Faculty of Political Science and Economics in the Waseda University, as well as a committee member of the working group on the carbon pricing for GX. So next one is Natsuko Gunji. She is the general manager of the carbon credit market office at the Tokyo Stock Exchanges. The next one is Shigeto Sudo. Dr. Sudo is the team leader of Mitigation System Group in National Agriculture and Food Research Organization Institute for Agro-Environmental Sciences, called NARO. The last one is Satoshi Ikeda. Mr. Ikeda is a Chief Sustainable Finance Officer and the Director of the Strategy Development Division, in Financial Service Agency of the Japanese government. So we'd like to start the presentation, starting from the Professor Arimura. So Dr. Arimura, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here at this wonderful conference. I would like to use my slides. Can you show up my slides here? Let's see. Okay. Well, I've been working on the carbon pricing for the research more than 25 years, and in the past 20 years, maybe around close to 20 years, I've been involved in the carbon pricing discussion for the government, and there was a drastic change in the past 5 years. In the past 5 years, I'm working on with METI and now working for the Secretariat Cabinet for the carbon pricing for GX. So I would like to share the development, but I'm waiting for my slides to come up. Okay, then let me. So Japan was slow introducing ETS. However, Tokyo government has been implementing emission trading schemes since 2010. And then 2011, neighbor Saitama followed. So the Tokyo government, Saitama, has been working on the ETS. Can you go to the maybe 2 more slides? Next slides, please. Next. And next. Yes, good. So this ETS has been successfully reduced emissions but it has a unique feature that there is no intermediary. All the tradings are bilateral. So we have several credits, as you can see, but the trading has been limited. And you can find about it in my open access book, Carbon Pricing in Japan. Next, please. And at the national level, the government has imposed carbon tax. It's 289 yen, so it's less than $2, very small. But the government is using the revenue to promote energy efficiency or renewables. And next slide, please. And after the carbon neutral announcement, the government and the industry has made a big changes. And as Mr. Ogawa mentioned that, so we use the word green transformation, GX. And I have a book and I explained about this development. This is also the open access book. You can find about it. Next slide, please. So after the announcement of carbon neutrality, the government came up with the concept of a green transformation, and now they see the carbon pricing as from different angles. And they said that if we can use it in a smart way, that may help economic growth. And they started the voluntary ETS from 2023, even before they passed a law. So it's a voluntary scheme up to the March of 26. So currently voluntary ETS. And at the same time, the government helped Tokyo Stock Exchange to create a carbon credit market, which will be explained later by Gunji-san. And then the Japanese Business Federation also announcement on the green transformation, and they admit that carbon pricing is an important element. Next slide, please. And May 2023, the Parliament passed the Green Transformation Act. And there are two components. From my perspective, there are two important components. The first component is the Japan Climate Transition Bond. And the government started to issue this bond to help innovation for the private sectors to decarbonize the Japanese economy. And then they incorporated the carbon pricing. And they have actually two components, GX ETS and GX surcharge, which is basically carbon tax. And GX ETS, as I mentioned, it's already started from 2023. And it will run for the 3 years. And Japanese fiscal year starts at April. So I believe this will go until the March 26. And for the phase 2, the government is considering to make it the mandatory ETS scheme like other cap and trade schemes. And the Cabinet Secretariat called a group for the working group on carbon pricing. And we had a discussion from September to last December. And we came up with a basic framework for this mandatory scheme. And we are planning to have the auction for the power sector in 2033. And the GX surcharge, which is basically a carbon tax, will start at 28. Next slide, please. So this figure basically shows the timing of all these structures. So voluntary schemes from 23 to the 25, and then moving to the mandatory ETS. And 2033, we will have auction for the permits for the power sector. So this is the basic planning of all these grant schemes. And can you go to the next slide? Next slide, please. Yes. And so this one slide summarizes the our proposal or the basic framework or mandatory GX ETS. So we target actually farm level, not installment level. The farms with 100,000 emissions or tons or more will be subjected to this ETS. And the government is expecting maybe 300 or 400 farms will be regulated. And this is like a Korean ETS. And the allocation, basically, we start from free allowances. And benchmarking for the energy-intensive sectors, and grandfathering for others. But we haven't specified who are the energy-intensive sectors. So that's going to be discussed. And importantly, the government is going to introduce price upper limit and lower limit. And I think that's something very important element and the difficult part of these policies. And at the same time, the government is helped to create a carbon market for this credits from ETS. And the GX Acceleration Agency, which is created under the GX Promotion Act, will be, I think, starting this market. And one important progress of this GX ETS phase 2 is that now non-regulated entities, actually financial sectors, can enter to this market under some conditions. So this is a big progress compared to the Tokyo ETS. But currently the proposal is saying we will have spot market only. And it doesn't mention anything about the future of things. And regarding the credits, I think that's the most important part of this meeting. The current proposal is saying that the government will allow J credit and JCM credits only. And I think this will be explained by the later presentations. But this is the basic structure of the GX ETS phase 2, which will become mandatory in 26. So I think with that, I would like to finish my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Arimura. So we understand the overview of the Japan's ETS. So next one is Ms. Gunji-san. So please let us know the role of the TSE for carbon market.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Natsuko Gunji from Tokyo Stock Exchange Carbon Credit Market Office. I'm really honored to be here and joining this panel discussion with these esteemed panelists. Thank you very much. And as Ogawa-san mentioned, that I would like to share with you about our market, Tokyo Stock Exchange Carbon Credit Market, and how we design the market, and also how the role we play in a whole, the carbon pricing mechanism in Japan, as Arimura mentioned. So could you please go to the next slide? And then first, I would like to talk a little bit about our journey to opening our market. Again, Arimura mentioned the area that the Japanese government has launched the voluntary consortium called GX League, Green Transformation League, maybe. And then within the whole concept of this GX, they plan to implement an emission trading system called GX ETS, obviously, which serves as a Japanese domestic version of an emission trading system. And based on this concept, the first step, we at Tokyo Stock Exchange operated in the carbon credit market as a demonstration project in September 2022. And then we learned a lot from this, the project. And also we see some successful, successful trading from this project. So we decided to open the market in October 2023. So we've got an 1 year and a few months history for our carbon credit market. And I would like to mention one thing, that those projects being conducted as a commissioned project by the METI, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. So in other words, we are working quite closely with the government and focusing on the contributing to the Japanese carbon pricing mechanism and through the, the market operating functions. And could you please go to the next slide? And then this slide shows that how the carbon credit works in the GX League. So obviously the companies participate in the GX League currently voluntarily, as Arimura Sensei mentioned, that's a set target for reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, and then they take various initiatives to achieve their goals. And in the scheme, it is permitted to use certain carbon credit. This is shown in the bottom of the slides to the achieve their carbon reduction goals. So these are the J credit and the JCMs. Now, actually, there isn't some, the criteria for the voluntary credit. I mean, they said overseas voluntary, the private voluntary credit, but the requirement for that is quite stringent. So, in fact, I have to say that at this moment, it is almost impossible to use the overseas voluntary credit in the current, the GX league scheme. Then we, as an exchange among those eligible carbon credit, we are dealing with, the J credit and also the excess reduction by GX league participants, which called GX credit at this moment. Next slide, please. I'd like to briefly mention how we designed the market as an exchange. So I think the audience in this room and also in online will know that an exchange trading is the price discovery function is one of the most important, the key functions for the trading. So in order to enhance the price discovery function in a market, we designed the market to aggregate as much, the supply and demand into the market by standardizing the products in accordance with the methodology of the carbon reduction. So we are dealing with a J credit, but there is more than 1,000 projects of the J credit. But there are some categories of the J credits shown in this, the chart, and then we standardize our products based on those, the methodology of carbon reduction. So by doing that, we can aggregate the supply and demand or orders into the market. And the other key function of exchange trading is price announcement. And regarding this point, after we opened the market, we received quite a few the feedback from the market participants that they can use exchange price as a benchmark, even if they are conducting the carbon, the credit trading outside the market, and the price is giving them kind of the predictability. So in that sense, we play a very important role in terms of carbon pricing. Next slide is this is a detailed specification of the the products, but I don't mention the press is the time is quite limited, so I don't mention the details. So could you please go to the next slide, and then is it? Okay, thank you very much. And let me show you how the performance of the market. The trading volume has been, the accumulated trading volume is increasing after we open the market. So we have actually 2,000 tons every day for the average in the trading. And there is, you can see that the bottom of the chart, there is more than 700,000 tons we've done already in the market. But more interestingly, could you go to the next slide? Okay, thank you. And then we see the current recent price movement of the renewable energy and energy-saving J credit. So as you can see, the above two charts, the sharp rise in the price of the both credits. There is, the various, the reasons for this price movement, but then based on, the meetings or, with the market participants, it is said that it is attributed to increased demand due to the introduction of a new disclosure requirements for the carbon neutrality efforts for gas utility services. So we see, and then also the intermediary sees that lots of demands coming from the gas industry for those two credit. So this means that the new regulatory trends for the carbon neutrality are directly related to the demand for the carbon credit, and if it becomes stricter regulations, if it regulations become stricter, it is likely that the market for the J credit will see an even greater increase in the transaction that we are expecting at this moment. So let me briefly touch on the future steps. Could you go to the next slide? The details are already mentioned by Arimura sensei, so I don't go into the details. But yeah, and Arimura sensei mentioned that the next, the phase, the mandatory phase of the GX ETS, the carbon credit, the eligible carbon credit it is said in the published the document, the use of the J credit and the JCM operated by the government is permitted. So and we are expecting the need, demand for the J credit is grow even more because it's mandatory mandatory phase, and also J credit is eligible in schemes. So and we as an exchange working hard to enhance the market functions with the expectation of further growing of those carbon credits. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gunji-san. So next one is Dr. Sudo. So now, agriculture-based credit and nature-based credit is very famous. So could you explain the current situation of the agriculture-based carbon credit?
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity of my presentation. So from my presentation, I explain some importance of agricultural fields J credit system. So next slide, please. So my background is analytical chemistry. So my professionality is a measurement method, precise measurement method of greenhouse gas, CO2, N2, or methane, and so on. Then now I'm one of the members of the J credit system management steering committee. Next slide, please. Okay, in this slide, I will explain the importance of agricultural sector's greenhouse gas reduction method, because not only it's carbon dioxide, but also methane CH4 or nitrous oxide N2O is also important, because methane CH4 is 24 times higher global warming, and N2O is more 265 times higher than carbon dioxide in global warming potential. So in this context, so even bioethanol, which is now growing more than $50 billion market, but this is also depending on the greenhouse gas emission from grain production in this agricultural fields. Okay, next slide, please. So again, this is so left-hand side, I present the emission of greenhouse gases. So in the total emissions, carbon dioxide is 76%, and methane 16%, and nitrous oxide 6.2%. So CO2 is very important. But in agriculture sectors, okay, CO2 is total only 4% of CO2 total emission, and methane is mainly from agriculture. It's 80% of methane emissions from agriculture. For nitrous oxide, it's also 47% for total emission of global. Okay, next slide, please. So we have to reduce not only carbon dioxide, but also methane or nitrous oxide in cropland or rice paddy fields. Then this slide, I present J credit methodology for nature-based. Then, unfortunately, only totally 6 agricultural methodology in the J credit system nowadays. Then now this AG004 biochar or AG005 methane reduction in paddy field is now growing market scale. Okay, so this is depending on the measurement method and verification. So MRV, measurement, reporting, and verification is a very crucial issue about this agricultural fields, J-grid system methodologies. So in right-hand side, so this is my development of a new GHG monitoring system. This is a very contributing the verification of GHG emissions reduction amount for precise measurement. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is maybe not, this audience is not familiar with this kind of figure, but this is a result of the methane emission by mid-season drainage effect. Okay, so normally rice paddy is have plenty of water in the rice paddy field, but only 2 weeks mid-season, I mean mid-June or July, we drop water level to the underground level. So only 2 weeks drainage make methane emission half. Okay, so it's a very effective agricultural method. So this is now incorporated to the J-grid system AG005 methodology. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another biochar methodologies. Okay, so even in the biochar methodologies, we have to measure precise measurement of biochar quality. It's just a char. It's just black. It's okay. Everybody think, but this quality, I mean, 100 years endurance of biochar is different for the original material. So we have to measure quality of biochar, and we have to estimate biochar's making temperature. Is very important for the carbon price. Okay, next slide, please. And other is the forest sink. Okay? These are 3 categories of forest management and afforestation and reforestation. Next slide, please. Okay, J-grid management. Okay, I'm now a member of a steering committee, and then of course, for making a new project of J-grid mechanism, so we need a certification committee. And other important sector is registration and examining authorities. Then nowadays, this examining authorities embodied very few. It is now for J-grid management. It is very top prioritizing problem issues for the shortage of the examining authorities. Okay, next please. Next slide, please. Okay, this is expansion of carbon credit trading, but I will skip because previous presenter's professionality. Okay, next please. Okay, carbon pricing is also increasing. Then I'm very appreciate the JPX efforts for this kind of fields. Okay, I will finish this presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sudo. So last presenter is Mr. Ikeda. So please let us know your organization effort to carbon market.
Thank you. I am from the Financial Services Agency, obviously, and the agency mandated for ensuring investor protection and integrity of the financial markets. So our efforts are mainly focused on ensuring the kind of the credibility of carbon credit trading in the Japanese context. And while some of you may already know that the IOSCO is the organization, international organization for securities regulators, and they have issued already reports on the carbon market. One on compliance carbon market, and another one is on the voluntary carbon markets. And the Sudo sensei already talked about J-credit in the context of agriculture, and what Sudo sensei is trying to ensure in that context is kind of environmental integrity of the carbon credit. So that the carbon credit claim is genuinely backed by the substantive efforts of reducing carbon emissions. But for financial regulators, we are not necessarily in a better position, in good position to judge environmental integrity. So that part is somehow left with the experts on environmental integrity, like Sudo-san. But what we intend to do is to ensure a kind of financial integrity. So integrity of trading system and settlement, and fundamentally a certain registry system to ensure that there would be no double counting for carbon credit. So how we can make sure that those system will be in place to anchor the overall integrity of the carbon credit in the Japanese financial market is our main focus. And of course, as we have discussed, that kind of incoming compliance market, GX ATS, is a certain impetus to our discussion. But at the same time, as we heard at the earlier panel discussion, the global momentum on voluntary carbon credit market is also another impetus to our discussion. So the coverage or scope of our discussion is to ensure that the investor protection and the integrity of the financial markets in Japan, both looking at compliance markets and also voluntary markets. So far, the working group on financial structure for carbon credit transaction, which started from June last year, we have made a certain stock taking of carbon credit transaction by financial players to identify best practices and certain potential vulnerabilities, and delved into some issue pointed out by the IOSCO reports. As I said, that the issue of transparency, market integrity, interoperability, and governance and risk management. So key takeaways of that discussion is that, of course, that providing investor protection is critically important for the development of the carbon credit market in Japan. So how to do that is, of course, a question. And of course, GX-ETS will be backed by certain kind of legal requirements, also supplemented by the trading rules set by Tokyo Stock Exchange. But when it comes to the voluntary carbon market, apart from the principles set by ICBCM or BCMI or other relevant bodies, there are not yet such standards in place. So how to incorporate those elements in the voluntary principles into the kind of basic rules in the Japanese financial market is the most important part of the discussion. But given the nascency of the carbon market, probably resorting to kind of rigid regulation first would not be necessarily desirable. So in that sense, capacity building of market practitioner should be prioritized in that context. That is the kind of discussion that a working group is having, and we are looking for further making a deep dive into the certain issue like how to design trading platform, how to make sure that risk management and the governance around the carbon credit market in the coming weeks and months. And we hope to have a certain report of recommendation by middle of this year, so that the Japanese market can accommodate not only compliance market set up by GX ETS, but also the carbon credit trading through the certain voluntary market. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ikeda-san and the other panelists. So now we move to open discussion for just one question from my side to all the other panelists. So climate change and the carbon credit is a cross-boundary issue. So regional and global collaboration is quite important to accelerate this market. So how does Japan collaborate with a platform like regional platform like ABAC's Pathfinder initiatives? So could you give me your opinion, just one comment, 1 minute or one comment from Dr. Arimura?
Thank you for the questions. So as was in the presentation by President Nakaso, that this region has a big actually carbon emissions. So to achieve carbon neutrality, it's very important to reduce carbon emission from APEC region in an efficient way. I think for that, it's useful to have a region-wide carbon markets. But as you can see that in the Japanese development, that it is often the case that the regulators or the Japanese industry are kind of skeptical about the quality of the credits from overseas. So I think maybe the ABAC Pathfinder initiative can coordinate to have some kind of forum to set up a criteria, harmonize the criteria for the carbon credits in this region, so that the Japanese regulatory agency can trust or have some confidence. I think that would be very nice for the carbon neutral target. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Gunji-san, please.
Thank you very much for the question. And then, as from the point of market operators' point of view, the operation should be done in an efficient way. And also, the previous panel discussion, in the previous panel discussion, Hara-sensei also mentioned that the registry system is quite key in terms of operational aspects and also the legal frameworks as well. So I think kind of standardized the registry system is the key for the establishing the interoperable carbon credit, obviously in the global trading way. And then as for the ABAC Pathfinder initiative, it has quite played a quite important role to share the awareness of these, the national and the awareness of these kind of things, and to share the insights with other, the global countries about those, the operational importance in the carbon credit market. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Sudo, please.
So nowadays, most important issue for operating carbon market is a cost for certification of each project. Only even J-Credit project is very gradually increasing this kind of cost, but maybe voluntary credit cost is much more. So we have to modify this kind of cost system so fairly reflected in the credit sales prices. Okay, it's my opinion.
Thank you very much. Ikeda-san, please.
Well, I find that the Pathfinder initiative is very important, and but at the same time, I think it is very important to set a clear goal and aim of the Pathfinder initiative, because when it comes to discussing the voluntary carbon market, there's, I think, some confusion whether we're talking about onshore market or offshore market. I think the voluntary carbon market is ultimately aiming for the establishing some kind of offshore carbon market, but at the same time, offshore market will be further expanded by certain kind of connection with the onshore compliance market. So the certain recommendation for the voluntary carbon market includes certain offshore issues as well as onshore issues. But I think giving a certain clarity in terms of that distinction in the Pathfinder initiative is give more clarity on what that initiative is aiming for. So that's, I think, is the important part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So it seems time is up. So let me say just one point. So Japan has one more year left to start compliance-based ETS from the April 2026. So this year is very important to prepare to new market. So we strongly expect the further development of collaboration with ABAC Pathfinder initiative to develop this voluntary carbon market. Okay, thank you very much again for panelists and the audience this time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much to our panelists, our moderator. Once again, let's send them with a big round of applause. Thank you.